still foggier than shit. There we go. That looks better. That doesn't look so foggy. My goodness. Of course, right when I start this. Hey! Whoa, 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 Sukov! Oh my god. Sukov! Okay. What the fuck? What the hell, bro? What the hell? Come on. Come on, bud. Ay, ay, ay. Dios mío. Dios mío. My goodness, bro. Why do you have to go boof crazy? Stop being so damn boof crazy. Little boofer. Pop-off. Shit. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, little derp. You little crazy thing. You little psycho. You puff cocaine. You crack rock. You're a little crack rock. You know that? Like a literal fur ball of crack rock. Try to load this bowl quick. I just gotta go to the bathroom. I always love how sometimes when I start these, that's always like the greatest timing ever with it. Sometimes, not always though. Although this time is one of those times where it's perfect timing. Oh, bite. He's so cute. He needs to stop being such. Look at you. So sweet. In fact, I'll give you a little treat. So now you want one. Here you go. Come on. Up. Get over here. Come on. Up. Can't use me. Jump up. That a boy. Sweet little thing. Change that up a little bit. Go on. Where you trying to get kitty food? Where you trying to snack that kitty food? Hmm? Is that what you were doing? Ugh. I feel like 10 pounds lighter. What? Now what? You crazy boy. You want our pistol? Got one from yesterday? I'll keep you another one today. How am I supposed to give you these? Does it say how many? Like a week or a day or? Yeah, okay. There you go. Oh my god, you went nuts for that. You're just like, mine. Goddamn, bro. Damn, Doge. Just a little sacrament. Sacrament. Just a crazy little ball of sacrament. Alrighty. Oh, a little bit of low count on that. Reminds me I should re-up today. Make sure I get resupplied on that. In fact, make sure I got my funds put aside for that. Let's see. Alright, cool. Sweet. Yeah,
that was a kitty swarm. It's like, okay, we're out of kibbles last night. Store was closed.
Then this morning, they all swarm.
Now they got kibbles and they're all just like, boom.
Swarming. Oh my goodness.
Like sharks circling or something.
It tends to happen when you have pets that tend to be a little hungry. And then they want to just straight up, like, feast the shit out of whatever you're about to give them. Just surround you. Straight up like a pack of sharks. Oh, you sweet boy. You sweet little zoo cowboy.
Yeah, they're not getting up in my grill saying, give me food, give me food, give me food.
Let's pull up some of this here. There we go. Oh, that's my pet jacket. Okay. Alrighty. Whoop. Get on, bad boy. There we go. Nice. Whew. Alrighty. Let's get another proper bowl loaded up here. All that fun stuff and get my brain awakened. Wake up, brain. Wake your ass up. Oh, my goodness. Wonder how my homeboy at his work ended up being alright. Got this last night. Well, this is gonna end well. My work is making my shift do a task that none of us really know how to do. We're also short-staffed on top of it. Oh my god. Why is that just like... feels like the usual with these fucking corporations where it's like, hey, we're understaffed. We don't really have people trained on this type of shit, but can you go do this anyway? We need it done, like, you know, now because corporate profits matter. it's like, not really? I don't know how to do that? It's like, good, get done. It's like, wait. So saying outright, like, no, I don't, versus, like, it's like, I not really, is like, that there's suddenly a metric of like, oh, okay, you can get done. Or they'll just be like, oh, well, it's easy, just do this and that, and there you go. Yeah. But it's just like, what? It's just like a verbal fucking, like, hey, you know, here's how you do it, doesn't exactly help, at least for me. Because I'm more of a kinetic learner, or a visual learner especially, too. Like, I like to observe and see what people do. That's usually how I learn, at least. Kind of like the literal whole monkey see, monkey do thing, I guess. But visual and kinetic learning, though. It's like, because hands-on shit, I mean, honestly, that's like the best way to learn something. And then, you know, visually, just look at somebody do something. Or watch a demonstration or a video of something done. Because in that case, I can at least kind of see and, you know, like, kind of quantify a little bit about what's going on instead of just, like, reading text. Or, like, hearing, or have someone tell me something. Be like, hey, it's like, you gotta, you do this, this, and this. It's like, what? It's like, can you just show me? That would be so much easier than just trying to, like, tell me. Just show me.
That's not good. I just noticed this looks like it was leaning that way, and it is. Anything else can go bad.
Dumb hair, get out of there.
Yeah.
It's like on a little slight lean. I don't know if it's gonna really matter much.
Well, if it blows up, I'm probably not gonna be out here.
So not me. Don't worry about me. If it blows up. It's like, I won't be in here if it blows up. It's like, it's just like, what about me? Like, I probably would. Like, the fuck? Some Aleister Crowley shit right there. Oh my god. It's like, I have kids in there if it blows up, whatever. As long as I'm not in there. What the fuck? Well, I felt loved. My goodness. Nice. That definitely was a good hit. That was a good one. Let's see what random little things happened for the 2 lines this morning. Since I have to really see too much. Elite service rival. ARX 160, very bizarre rival, but still Italian perfection. That's Grantham video. What's that? Oh my god, that thing looks fucking ridiculous. At least how it's all teched out. What's he got loaded on that thing? An M203? No, that's a different fucking launcher. fucking laser light, ACOG sight. Fucking hell, jeez, bro. Going tactical on our ass. Georgian Legion in Ukraine. There's Georgians fighting in Ukraine? Huh? Well, I want to look that up. Georgians? I would assume they're probably on the Ukrainian side, because I know there's a lot of solidarity in Georgia with Ukraine. I guess considering they have similar history with Russia. Here, Georgian Legion. Yeah. Let's see. It's a paramilitary uniform by mostly ethnic Georgians, volunteers fighting on the side of Ukraine. Yeah, I figured. In the war in Donbass and the Russia-Ukrainian war. So they're in the 2014 shit too. Yeah. As of 2016, there's at least 100 Georgian volunteer fighters in the Legion's ranks, most of them former Georgian Armed Forces servicemen with military experience, veterans of the 2008 war for Russia, and international missions in Iraq and Afghanistan. Huh. What's the recent stuff? Activity. Legion conducts sabotage and reconnaissance activities, and also instructs and trains Ukrainian soldiers, also repeatedly participated in positional battles. So kind of like a unit that helps train other troops in Ukraine, I guess considering their veteran status, with 2008 as well. And then sabotage and reconnaissance duties. So, seems like a legion that's primarily more of like a recon legion or like a recon battalion. Kind of goes behind the lines and does saboteur ships and shit. And honestly, that makes it a little bit easier for manpower-wise too, because if you have like a foreign legion force that's primarily doing like reconnaissance and sabotage and shit, you don't need to use as many of your own forces for that, and then you can use the intel gathered by reconnaissance to do counteroffenses, amongst other things. So the Hatchar would be a very useful force. The group is commanded by Mamula Shivili. That's kind of a cool name. A veteran Georgian officer. There's also members of Georgian National Legion that has experience from the Chechen Wars. Damn. So they got, at this point, probably a couple old geezers in there too. I'm sure, especially with sabotage, a lot of those Georgian troops would probably be totally okay and have a little fun, combating some of the Russian Chechen forces. I'm sure they'd be like, oh, old friends, hello. They probably got a lot of that mentality with it. It's like, oh, Chechens on your side? Old times ringing around the corner. Get to see how my old Chechen friends do, Doing saboteurship of, like, fucking Chechen patrols behind Russian lines. It's like a little, like, Georgian, Chechen little conflict, just kind of coming back again. That's kind of, it's a little interesting. Seeing, like, these, like, groups or members of, like, these older conflicts that Russia's historically been part of, at least in the more recent history of, like, Georgia, the Chechen Wars and shit. And they're all involved in this, too. like the Georgian Legion now, like, apparently they've been around for a while, I didn't even know that. And then now there's, like, the Chechen forces, which I guess now are kind of, like, both sides. Like, there's a few Chechens on the Russian sides and a couple on the Ukrainian. So that's interesting. So it's definitely got, like, a lot of old bedfellows coming around again and being kind of, like, escalated a little more. But it's all kind of being propped out in Ukraine again. Adam something has a. Oh my god, this is a huge community post. Adam something. Fucking hell. The now more rare occasional bot. Hi, get out of here. Big horn, board. An hour ago. Flunked as usual at this point. No major happenings around the front. Duh. Alright, things aren't going well for the Russian army. The low morale has resulted in some truly ghoulish things. Not gonna have it linked. I have to link here for fear of having my channel yeeted, but the Twitter account Sputnik ATO posted a video of a Russian soldier. Oh, I saw this video. Russian soldier's corpse in the snow for a rocket launcher next to him. Corpse left legs chained to a road signs pole, apparently to prevent desertion, and the guy was either shot or froze to death. Which, I don't even think that was even, like, that's not even necessarily confirmed, either. Like, there's a dead dude, and yeah, kind of like, just kind of buried in the snow now at that point, but it's like, yeah, I mean, it's just straight up like some unknown dude, with like a couple of guys who saw it and recorded it, and zoomed up on the dude's leg chained up, which, I mean, it's like, that shit isn't necessarily unheard of at this point. Like, there's been a couple other times where people have been captured on both sides who have been tied up to like telephone poles, street poles, shit like that, just out of like, you know, just a way to embarrass and humiliate them, but also just kind of leave them exposed to the elements. And it's like, I mean, if you got both parties, you know, kind of doing this type of shit off and on out in the fronts and shit, where you might have like a little straggler and they get caught, it's like, I mean, surely who the fuck knows, like, who really did that? It could have been a Russian soldier, but it could have been Ukrainians that caught the guy. And it could have been Russian officers that chained him there to keep him from deserting. I mean, that's likely too. I just like how fucking Adam's post basically is just like pretty much already set an idea about what it's all about, though. It's like, he thinks there's things like, you know, fog of war that may, you know, leave things to be unconfirmed despite, you know, the evidence of it there, like a frozen guy chained to a pole. Like, I mean, yeah, it's like, while there might be things like that around, it's like, I mean, who the actual perpetrator of that was concerning fog of war, I mean, truly, we're not gonna know. Lines, Kadyrov's men, Chechens, are deployed behind Russian lines to execute deserters. I mean, that's, honestly, that just kind of sounds like, you know, a little bit of truth to it. Like, that honestly doesn't sound too far-fetched. I mean, like, that's why, you know, especially when it comes to, like, you know, seeing a frozen guy with a rocket launcher next to him, frozen, dead, and either froze to death or, you know, due to the elements, or got shot and just left there. I mean, it's just like, we're not gonna know who really did that. And also, he could have died, you know, after the fact of being chained up and shit, and that could have either been the elements or someone saw him and just blocked him. So it's just like, I mean, and even then, it's just like, if you're worried about a dude deserting, chaining it up to a fucking pole is not gonna help. Like, you're basically, if the opposition comes up to them, they're just gonna immediately have their weapon down and be like, my officer literally chained me up here, like, can you please, like, like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, I mean, it's just like, at that point, like, you just basically confirmed the idea that they're just gonna defect if they live. And you're gonna be throwing some Rick Astley in here? Let's see. I'll stick my neck out, make several prognostications. Russia's saying for an outright defeat in Ukraine. Russia's plan was incompetent based on a flawed assumption that Ukrainians were favorable to Russia and their military. Russian soldiers were evidently carrying dress uniforms for their victory parade. Yeah, I doubt that. They were just given shit from the fucking warehouse, and that was expired and obsolete and old fucking rusty ass equipment. Like I doubt they were given fucking dress uniforms, like to put in their pack. Doubt it. Rather than action ammo rations. Again, it's all warehouse shit. Like honestly, like it's not really the fact that it didn't have like the proper ammo or rations. It's that it wasn't usable. Like when you have ammo that's been basically sitting there since the fucking 70s or some shit, like in the, you know, since the Soviet Union days, and fucking just been, you know, just getting worn out in a fucking warehouse somewhere collecting dust, like it's not going to be usable. Like those rounds aren't going to be very effective. A lot of it will be duds. On top of that, like, I mean, when it comes to rations, like if you leave them in a warehouse, you know, after a certain amount of time, like it's like any food, it has an expiration point. It will expire. So, like when you just like get like the oldest shit you in your warehouse to get rid of, you know, to send to your troops on the front line, most, if not all of it's going to be expired and not edible. So, yeah, I mean, it's like, it's not really the fact that they didn't have like, you know, spare rations or ammo. It's that none of it was usable. Same thing with pretty much most of the fucking equipment they've been given. So it's just like, I mean, yeah, they're heading for an hour. Okay, so it's Adam Sum's first point, whatever. It's just kind of a duh, I guess. The collapse of their position would be sudden and catastrophic rather than happening slowly through a war of attrition. But that's what's happening. It is a war. Like, this war is straight up a war of attrition. Like, whose forces are gonna, like, lose supplies, morale, and equipment most? And so far, it doesn't really look like Russia's kind of on, you know, kind of on the good side of that front. It looks like, you know, they're not really getting favors on that. Ukraine is. Like, they keep getting supplies and weapons and all that shit, and, you know, Russia only has so much. And they need to keep a lot of their shit in reserve anyway, in case things do go global, so they can use those for more important fronts, like in Poland or the Baltic states and shit. So they're not even using, like, their big guns, you know, so to speak. They're not going to put, like, their best shit out there. The army in the field will reach a point where it can neither be supplied nor withdrawn, and morale will vaporize. It's will reach a point. It's like off and on. This is at least true in the north, or okay, whatever. There's no diplomatic solution to the war possible prior to this happening. Yeah, there was. Oh my god. I just love that fucking just. There's no conceivable compromise that would be acceptable to Russia and Ukraine given the losses they have taken at this point. The fuck do you know? Like, that just sounds straight up like some more fucking, like, imperialistic talking point right there. It's like, hey, you know, to, like, let me speak for, you know, like, the peace talks of the Ukrainians and the Russians on this and say there's just no compromise, even though, it's like, you know, I'm, like, not involved in conflict. It's like, yeah, there's just, you know, simply just, like, straight up no diplomatic solution. Maybe there's, like, maybe there's no political will for it, dipshit. But, yeah, there very much is a diplomatic solution. When it comes to pretty much most, if not, like, at least, like, 99% of most issues that happens, there can always be, you know, some form of a diplomatic solution. It doesn't always have to go into fucking war, and in fact, it doesn't need to really ever. But, yeah, our species likes to, you know, enact that type of shit, so here we are. We're definitely still got a lot of our more, you know, pro-war tendencies in us. The UN Security Council has proven once again to be useless. Duh. The only helpful thing was Jones' assembly vote, which helps to identify the world's bad or provocating actors. No, it doesn't. It names one of them. Not like, wow. What is it like this, the US and shit, like suddenly like immediately just erased from history on this? It's like, yeah, there's other bad provocating actors and shit that isn't just fucking Russia in the world. Like, Russia ain't the only fucking one that's a bad actor. Like, are you, like, oh my god. I mean, it proves the point that, yeah, the U.S. Security Council is useless, so. The Biden administration's decisions to not declare a no-fly zone or help transfer Polish MiGs were both good ones. They kept their heads during this very emotional time. Yeah, they're good, but oh my god. Yeah, they kept their heads. Yeah, Biden barely has his head together, as it is. But he kept it together for this one. Ukrainians defeat the Russians on their own, depriving Moscow of the excuse that NATO attacked them, as well as avoiding all the obvious escalatory possibilities. But NATO still is, to a certain degree, by sending weapons, ammunition, javelins, and other things, which Putin in Moscow is still specifically using that as an excuse. Like, it helps not make it a very bigger, you know, case, because you're not sending full-on, like, weapons or no-fly zones and shit like that. I mean, it's just like, yeah, I mean, they're still using it as an excuse, but it does help make it so it's, you know, a very minimal one, where it's like, oh, yeah, we send bullets and javelins, okay. It's like, yeah, we haven't established enough fly zone, we haven't sent aircraft, we haven't sent, you know, like, full-on troops, we haven't done any of that shit. We haven't sent tanks. All we did was just send, you know, extra bullets and shit like that. What do you want? It's like, what, you don't supply fucking bullets to other countries? You know, it's just like, I mean, it's easy to get away with something like that when it comes to gun smuggling and gun trading and shit like what's going on now with Ukraine, doing a lot of gun supplying and shit. Like if a country has a gun manufacturer, they're a gun supplier. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, it doesn't matter if they're selling it to a country in wartime or not. Like, they're gonna do it. In fact, they most certainly will do it for a country in wartime, because, like, hey, we will get a lot of fucking money. A lot of people, regardless of whose side is using it, will be using our bullets, you know, and they use our guns. I mean, really, they don't give shit. I mean, so a lot of these, like, European, like, weapons manufacturers and American weapons manufacturers, they're okay with it, because they're like, hey, I mean, if anything, they could technically pin it on us, but we're just a private company. You know, so it's like, we're not, you know, we don't got, like, any, you know, anything in this. So, it's an easier case to make, you know, and it's far easier for countries to do that, even if they're in, like, a military alliance like NATO. Because, I mean, it's, honestly, you could just pin it off onto the companies that manufacture the shit. And obviously, they're going to be like, well, we just manufacture them and give the contracts out to the people who want them and want to order them. And if, you know, somebody's ordering them to ship them somewhere else, that's not my business. We'll just, you know, get it set up and have it organized and ready to go. We get our money. You know, like, there's the middleman. I guess in a weird way, that's one positive about capitalism in a way. It doesn't, like, it can be useful to not exacerbate war. I mean, while still exacerbating it, if that makes sense, I guess. It's not exactly really a pro, it's more of like a neutral, but still. It kind of forces the point, though, that it is a war of attrition, because, like, at the end of the day, I mean, whoever runs out the most amount of the supplies, equipment, morale, and manpower is going to lose. Whoever loses the most of that is going to lose the war. And it doesn't really look like Ukraine's, you know, short on any of that. I mean, they're outnumbered in pretty much all of this shit, but when it comes to, like, losses, equivocally, you know, when it comes to comparing the two, they're gonna hold out way longer. Like, and also, as always, you know, like, numbers don't necessarily mean that much. Like, you can have overwhelming numbers, but if you have a small force that knows what they're fucking doing, they could take that out. Would you try old MREs? Depends how old they are. I mean, honestly, probably not. I don't know. It just depends how old it is. Do hamburgers even go bad? Yeah. Like any food, it's still food. Yeah, like MREs do have an expiration date. They usually last about, depending on the MRE, will usually last about like 2 to 4 or 5 years, give or take. Again, it depends on the MRE. But yeah, I mean, they eventually go bad. I mean, canned food does too. I mean, if you see the expiration dates on them, they're like years out, but you know, if they sit there long enough, yeah, they're not really going to be good anymore. Oh, shit. So, right, stuff's tubing out. Cranial field ration. I'm aware what it is. We had like a couple days where I was literally fawning over the damn thing. So, I mean, sent to Steve 1989 MRE1. Because if it's that guy, then yeah, like I've watched that multiple times. I know they still get like these canned MREs as well. They still have those in production, and from what I understand, those aren't as good. But I mean, either way, like this is Ukrainian MREs do sound pretty legit. I definitely would prefer one of the more modern ones. Oh boy. Getting fucking... Man, comment sections are fun. Oh boy, got some dude defend. So I don't know if you've noticed this, but like especially when it comes to mainly like Ukrainian like accounts and stuff that you can translate at least their comments and stuff. I noticed that usually, like when they're referring to Russians, they don't even mention Russians. They like that's just not even like a part of their lexicon anymore. Like it's basically like any type of nomenclature that could be used to essentially just dehumanize them, mainly orc. Like that's pretty much been the main one that's been used like for a while now at this point. And it's just like if this was like literally not a white country doing this to Ukraine, like everyone would be like, that's a little racist, don't you think? Just a little bit. It would be kind of a little weirder, in a sense. It's like, huh. Or I guess even justified, probably. It's like, oh, because it's like, a minority group invading this white country or some shit, then it's like, yep, all those type of people are orcs, and like, it would even be more encouraged. But it's just like, it's just kind of more just there, you know, just kind of more on the side, but it's still there. And it's just like, it's like, yeah, like, I mean, we can still, you know, be, you know, like, yeah, let's, you know, glory to our heroes and to the, you know, country, Ukraine, and all that, yada yada, without having to, like, refer to another, you know, to the other side as just all, you know, orcs and just dehumanize the entire group of people, you know, because of the actions of the government. It's just like, it's like, can we not? But this fucking comment is actually trying to fucking justify it. Here, let me read it. The Russians are considered Ukrainians to be worse, a huge part because of their tacit acceptance for the crimes of their government, their inability to offer meaningful resistance to it, and what the which is not even fucking true. It's like, yeah, because honestly, the reason why you probably like, who is this dude? The judge? Oh god, the judge. What a name. But yeah, the reason why is because Western media doesn't want to really talk about that. Like, there is, like, there's been tens of thousands of fucking Russians at this point that have been arrested, you know, doing anti-war protests and resisting. And also, like, I mean, consider that they are a more fascistic type of government and a more oppressive government. Like, you can't just, like, go out and protest and, you know, go back home later that day and, you know, with, like, a little scrape and bruise because a cop, you know, busted you up a little bit. Like, here in America. Like, I mean, you know, or be arrested and then just released the next day, or later that night even. You know, it's just like, no. Like, you're gonna be, like disappeared and probably put into either a gulag or a peanut battalion, or, you know, and sent off to the front, or some other fucking shit I frankly would not wish on anybody. You know, so it's just like, yeah, I mean, there's far more significant consequences, which is why, you know, at least for me, yeah, they kind of need to have, like, a full-on, like, rise up and shit. I mean, but in order to do something like that, it requires a lot of organization. It requires a lot of logistics. I mean, and when you have a government that's, especially now at this point, having a lot of fucking eyes on their populace, it's hard to do that. I mean, you know, so it's like, while I'd still advocate it, I mean, you know, it's just like, maybe the West should be encouraging that, instead of just, you know, letting the enabulation of, like, oh, this mentality that they should just be dehumanized as, like, orcs or creatures or whatever the fuck else. It's like, maybe we shouldn't just, that's not, like, that's not a justification. I don't give a fuck. It still justifies, frankly, pretty racist behavior. Just straight up. Like, racism is racism regardless of who the fuck is doing it and to whom. I mean, like, honestly, it's like, what the fuck? Stop talking about the lack of control of the order of our countries outside of public opinion, even if it's a dictatorship. What? What does that even fucking mean? Dictators don't rise up out of their own divine will. Their Popeye said it. They come out of. That is a very reductive way of looking at shit. A dictator doesn't just come up from their society, you know, and be propped out of, you know, the society they're, you know, come up on. Like, there's a lot of various different fucking factors that come into play of that shit. Like, what the fuck? I mean, it's just like, first, like, also, like, they don't rise up on their own divine will. Then how come they decree it? How come dictators from, like, Benito, Hitler, Napoleon, like, and all sorts of fucking brutal fucking kings and emperors throughout history and shit all have this divine will? They all have this, you know, divine will either by God or by their own merit or whatever the fuck, you know, or for, like, you know, the, you know, or for their race or for their fucking, you know, ethnic peoples or their, whatever the fuck. They all, like, most, if not all dictators have some sort of a divine will backed by their fucking ethics and ethos. It's just like, what does that even mean? It's like, yeah, they don't necessarily, like, rise up, you know, just out of nowhere, but they have a fucking divine will. And the thing is, when they fucking preach and boast about that shit, either in fucking, like, political rallies or in streets or rallies or whatever the fuck else, people listen to it. Especially when you have a desperate situation socioeconomically in that society, they're going to look to people that say, hey, this guy, you know, sounds like he's looking out for us. And if that person happens to be a fascistic dictator, it doesn't matter. They're going to listen to him or her. I mean, just as much as they'll listen to probably some of the radical leftists as well that might be propping up there too. Because historically, especially, you know, the rise of the Nazi Germany and shit, like the biggest party was the Communist Party. And there was a lot of radical leftism in Germany at that time. There was also, I think, this Socialist Republic of Bavaria too. That was a temporary thing for a short time. I mean, it's just like these, you're kind of it's like you're literally are just eschewing other fucking factors just to suit your own fucking narrative, to justify this orc shit, the judge. Like, what the fuck is this? It's as a suit disservice towards the complexity of the way human societies function. This motherfucker is literally doing that. Trying to fucking lecture me about the complexities of way human societies function, but yet reduces how fucking dictators are and shit, and when it comes to the control of society can enact to try to fucking fight back against that. Which also, during Nazi Germany, there was plenty of Germans that were fighting against the Reich as well. Like, whether there were, people in the factories and shit that, you know, were, Schindler, who were, like, in control of these fucking factories where they would, manipulate a lot of the manufacturing of equipment and machines and weapons, also, you know, that type of shit, and purposely forger production reports and all that shit, just to hinder the fucking Nazi regime. Or whether they were defectors or spies, you know, who decided to, you know, sneak over to the opposite lines and say, hey, don't shoot me, I actually want to work with you. You know, and then, you know, it's like, hey, let me keep my uniform and all that stuff, but here, let me help you out. Here's some information here. I'll go back over the, defector, espionage shit. Like, that was absolutely common in Europe during World War II. On all fronts. I mean, it's like, there was definitely Soviets who did that shit, who defected and joined the Nazis, and there was, Brits and French, too. There was the Vichy government. I mean, there was also, there was Belgians and Dutch who were doing that for Germans, but also against them. And plenty of them. Including Germans. Like, there was a lot of different Germans who fled and joined partisan groups once the front line started getting close as well. And even when the Allies, whether on the east or the west, started coming around, some of them would help them. Whether it's like giving them some room and board, food, or information. Like, yeah, I know there's like a German base like a little bit over there. If you get there soon enough, you might be able to catch them before they leave. That type of shit. I mean, it's just like, there's things that fucking people can do under their fucking fascistic regime and shit. It's not as black or white. And yet yet this person wants to fucking try to lecture me about how it's black. Oh my god. I'm gonna have to post a comment to that dork later. And it's like the same for the Russian people. Honestly, I'm sure there's probably like, Russian businesses and Russian people and like, outside of protesting that are doing their own ways, to try to fucking, fight back against their government. It's not as simple as just being loud and boisterous and revolutionary going out in the streets. It's not as simple as that. There's one factor and one big one to it at that, but it's not all. It's not all that's needed in that shit. Well, I have another comment I was posting. Somebody else. Well, there's no better time for a civil war when a majority of military forces are abroad. However, for Russian people, none seems as bad as a revolution. I guess. But I don't know. I mean, it seems like at least, you know, when it came to, you know, what has, I don't know. I feel like, you know, what, you know, it's become of now, and what, you know, I feel like, you know, a lot of what the Russian people are knowing, which is one thing, that they don't want this fucking state government, you know, like having the reins of what their fucking, you know, outcomes are going to be like anymore. They actually want to have a fucking voice in the matter. Because honestly, like, I know one thing, it's like, you know, the Russian people definitely are not fond of their fucking government at this point, especially, you know, probably now more than ever, because that type of sentiment's been rising for at least a decade, you know, if not more. I mean, so it's just like, this idea that, like, oh, they're all just, you know, meh, you know, it's like, they're all just like, you know, acting like orders, you know, not actually fighting back enough. It's like, it just feels like, you know, like, gotta, like, you know, repent to the Father shit or something. Like, it's almost like, you know, biblical vengeance mentality. It's like, huh? Said the president of said state and his insiders. But even then, some of his insiders aren't even fond of him anymore. There's like a Russian politician or some Russian oligarch or some shit that literally put a bounty on him. Which, I mean, so it's just like, yeah, I don't, like, he's not making friends. I mean, even domestically. In fact, he's losing them. Which overall is a good thing, because, you know, hopefully there can be a better, you know, outcome for the Russian people at this. I mean, I'll definitely make, you know, respond to the judge guy, because honestly, it's like, because fundamentally, this is about, like, you know, just people globally. Like, I mean, it's just like, you know, like, we have these fucking states and these governments that don't give a fuck about us. They might have, like, you know, maybe in some countries, like in the West, and, you know, and maybe in some aspects in the U.S., like, you know, they have things there to, you know, keep people comfortable, at least to maybe a certain extent, or complacent. Not, honestly, not really much in the U.S., but definitely, you know, more so in the West and, like, Europe. But it's just like, I mean, just because of that, you know, fundamentally, when it comes to the general outcome, they still, you know, want to make sure that, you know, they're, you know, that, you know, like, the system stays as is, you know, to keep things as benefactory to the general global owner class and to the state affairs. I mean, it's just like, when you have like, you know, like, these organizations, these institutions, these systems of government, and in a lot of ways that aren't, where we don't have much of a voice in that factor, we meaning just, you know, people just globally. It's like, you know, how can you say that, you know, we're not just pawns in this, you know, fucking game between these major powers? I mean, it's just like, I mean, you know, and to acknowledge that, at least to me, is to, you know, honestly try to have, you know, empathy for the people that are under these states, which I do. I mean, I definitely have empathy for the Ukrainians, because they're, like, the main hit of, like, you know, this whole broader, you know, geopolitical superpower grab. And the Russian people have to fucking suffer over their fucking fascistic state, and, you know, and a lot of people in the West and shit are getting, you know, kind of prepared for a potential, like, conflict that doesn't need to happen, and honestly, hopefully won't. I mean, it seems like just how things are going, I mean, it won't build up like that, but, I mean, who knows? I mean, things can, you know, change at any moment, you know, depending on what goes on. I mean, it is kind of a low point, but there's still a lot of conflicts. People are still fucking dying, getting, you know, burnt up in tanks and shit, you know, civilians on all sides, you know, on the front getting shot up. Well, I guess maybe not Russian civilians, but, I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess them too, just because they're all getting arrested, probably, you know, getting forced into peanut battalions and fucking getting, you know, sent to a gulag probably for, you know, protesting the shit. I mean, there's a lot of things, you know, that, you know, play a role in it. In Russia now, a lot of people remember this USSR and a good days, at least for Russia. I mean, I guess considering how, like, you know, there was a potential, like, idea that, like, hey, you know, at the very end of the Soviet Union, we were kind of actually working on maybe, like, getting things back together, you know, and try to make a more unified Europe. I mean, at least with that alternate history hub video, you know, like, talking about, you know, some of the context of it. And it's like, I mean, honestly, it's just like, maybe if the Russian people were to kind of get, back up and have, I guess a sense of reestablishing of, like, the USSR, in a sense that, they have, like, the state out of Putin's hands, and they can actually have more, reins of control, as the voice of the people of the country that they're under, then, there could actually be more of an opportunity for that idea. Because honestly, like, having organizations that are more based on cooperation and diplomacy, even if it's regional, does, in the long run lead to a more, diplomatic-based, cooperative-based type of global, system in the future, which, that I'm in favor of. So it's just like, yeah, I mean, let's try to do that. But at the same time, let's not demonize an entire fucking people for it. Just because their state happens to be, just, isolating themselves and fucking, making themselves the enemy and that shit. It's like, I mean, this type of shit is, like, too complex to, to just be reduced, to this type of shit. But human ape brain, don't work like that. China's been a good buddy to Russia and has offered their banking systems to them. Well, yeah. Because now, at this point, there's, we're just, like, we're just kind of giving China a little bit of an opening to grow as a superpower, and you got no qualms with cooperating with Russia. Or at least, to some extent. I mean, China's main long-term goals don't necessarily intersect into Russia's long-term goals right now. So, they don't really have an impetus, to be like, hey, we're gonna kind of go after each other here. Like, they don't really have an impetus for it. Trying to go larger? Well, they have been. Economically, at least. And honestly, like, I mean, one thing I feel like, though, is that even if China does try to kind of, like, start prepping for, a potential annexation of Taiwan, it's like, I feel like there would probably be more of a diplomatic approach to that. At least initially, because Taiwan just straight up has the U.S., like, kind of, like, right behind them, saying, like, what's up, buddy? It's just like, so, if China were to militarily get involved in Taiwan, it's pretty much a guarantee the U.S. would. So, like, I don't know. Like, it just doesn't seem like it would be viable, for China to do such, because mainly then they would also have to deal with the Pacific and try to get a major dominance there, like Japan tried, and we know how that worked. And, it wouldn't be in their favor. It like Ukraine, it'd be like a major paper tiger scenario for them almost, because especially with direct involvement of the U.S. Like that, I mean, there's just I don't know. I mean, we wouldn't be able to go mainland China because we'd lose on their turf, but just as much as China would lose on our turf. So it's, and also, I mean, think about this too. Like, I mean, Australia, New Zealand, Japan very likely would get involved. South Korea would likely get involved. The Korean War would break up again, probably. Unless relations of North and South Korea, change at that point where they, like, separate themselves from the whole thing. And like, no, fuck all of you. We're going to try to work together here because we're too close to something for this to be fucked. Like, so we'll have a no-fly zone over all of us, in Korea here, and leave us alone. We're going to finish our shit and try to unify here. We're getting close. Fuck this bullshit. Fuck all of you. Like, 360 fuck yous all around. Like, I mean, if there's like a scenario where like Korea actually does have a potential to like have a diplomatic solution to a unified Korea, and something like this pops off, like I feel like they would legit do that. They'd be like, we're too close to this, fuck all of you. Like, I mean, right now I could see them actually probably popping off against each other, but I don't know, like there has been, especially kind of recently, you know, oh wait, South Korea recently fired a shot at a North Korean patrol boat. Well, god damn it. Well, it seemed like for a minute there they were kind of starting to get a little better, you know, relations there, but that definitely doesn't put better relations there. That's kind of the opposite of better relations. Well, so, yeah, they're likely to pop off against each other, but, I mean, if they're able to, you know, get at least to somewhat of a more neutral position with each other, they probably would legit be like, nah, or neither of us are getting involved in your shit. Like, you know, we're working on something here. Fuck you. I mean, really, the key for it is that there needs to just be some fucking goddamn political will for it. Because, I mean, I guess, say what you want about Trump. There was a weird way after his whole, like, Fire and Fury Rocket Man bullshit. Like, I mean, after that, there was at least a point where he had some, you know, whatever will was really for, fundamentally, at the end of the day. Like, there was some will to at least have some negotiational peace talks, or at least, you know, some more neutral relations with North Korea. I mean, how genuine they were, I mean, at least for the U.S. side of it, is, I guess, up to debate, but South Korea, you know, behind the scenes, just like, oh, okay, let's use this opportunity. There's some political will for this. You know, like, Moon Jae-in, I think, was I think the first president of South Korea, or prime minister. They have both, so I don't know which one he was, but I think he was the first one to go over to the North Korean side, you know, and like cross the DMZ zone. And it's just like, I mean, that's actually, you know, like relations-wise, kind of a improvement. So it's like that. I mean, it's just like that. Keep that shit going. That, you know, there has to at least be some fucking political will for it. I mean, that's really the key for it, like, honestly, for a lot of these things. Like, it's not really that, you know, people probably, like, you know, obviously don't want to see, like, a more unified Korea, or, like, you know, more diplomatic, you know, ties or agreements, or, you know, even, like, an encouragement to the Russian people to, like, rise up further, you know, from the West and shit. It's like, I don't think, you know, people don't want that. I think people do, but there's just no political will for it. So no one talks about it, or no one really brings it up, or they're like, oh, man. It's like, yeah, but they don't. It's like, yeah, because there's no will for it. I mean, when you only have like a couple people that talk about that, it's like, you know, if at all, it's like, yeah, it's not going to happen. Little baby. He's so sweet. Let's see what time it is. It looks like it's at 3. Honestly, my feelings exactly, bro. Because I gotta go to work. Have my little power hour. But I think it was a fun, little productive one. Oh, geopolitics, imperialism, and societies and shit. All kind of wrapped up in a nice little bun. Ugh. took up a good nap. You guys having a little nap? Oh, watch Ted Cruz gets tickled by an American hero. I'm watching that tonight. Yay, there's something that isn't like Ukraine related. There's something non-Ukrainian related. Yay! Not saying that as a bad thing though. It's just like, I mean, considering there isn't significant updates aside from, I guess, the usual stuff that gets propped up back and forth, you know, what's going on. I mean, it's just like, it's just like all that. It's like, okay, there's other shit going on. I mean, unless there is legit some significant improvements aside from, I guess, the typical, like, end of the day Val reports or whatever, it's just like, I mean, what could be said? I guess aside from what I was discussing, I guess, which needs to be more of a discussion, you know, like on the internet sphere at least, because then that gets more ears and more eyes on those type of ideas and views. Needs to be the case. But anyway, gotta head off to the old fucking grind. That's gonna be all fun. Yay. But of course, I'll be here later tonight. Shoot shit, chat spite, all that gobbledygook. Anyway, peace out. And of course, I shall see you all later.